It's your boy Crazy Man. I'm back with another video. Oh my gosh, bro. Motherfucking hair. I ain't gonna lie, I'm very interested in this video, bro, because me personally, I'm a Hawks fan, bro. So, I have seen some of the upgrades we made this season. We did make some good upgrades, and I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like they saying, Trae Young definitely don't got no excuses now. He's got all the pieces. I'm not gonna, I guess you can say that he's got the pieces and the tools, to go win a championship. And I ain't gonna lie, if he don't win the champ, or if we had, I feel like me personally, as a speaker from a fan's perspective, if we don't at least make it to the, because the East is pretty, it's not deep, but it's a lot of good teams. If we at least don't make it to like the conference finals, then I ain't gonna lie, we're gonna have to, Trae Young might have to get traded. And that's crazy to say. He's always been ever since I was so happy when we drafted him. He's like been my favorite player ever since we drafted him. I mean, but at the end of the day, I care about my team. But that'll suck because I mean he's our franchise player. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Man, I need to get a retweet. But look at this. All right, come on.
The Hawks have had an incredible offseason, making all of the right moves to surround their young core with depth, talent, and versatility. But just how
I
good
definitely
are
like
they right
the
now?
Porzingis. I don't know what it. I love tall centers.
Contention.
Even though tall
Last season,
centers
the
are
Hawks
like
built a
kind of,
version of what an
even though
ideal
tall centers are like kind of a liability when it comes to like speed and stuff like that. Porzingis, I don't know. I don't know. They say he's a unicorn. I don't really watch. I ain't really pay attention to Porzingis like that. I don't really watch a lot of basketball games like that. But I don't know. They say Porzingis is pretty good, and I do like tall centers. I do like the Luke Kennard signing because he can shoot. And yeah, shout out to him, bro. I'm a Duke fan, so he's from the, as they say, the Brotherhood. He came from Duke, so I like that signing too because we definitely need some shooting as well.
roster around Trae Young looks like. Going back to 2024, that's when Jalen Johnson took a huge leap. He was a 22-year-old who could play downhill, create for others, operate without the ball, defend multiple positions, and protect the rim. And with the way he emerged, it became clear that they viewed him as Trae's long-term number two,
Whew.
which I'd say has panned out in every way except for health. When he's on the
I ain't gonna lie, I can do that dunk for real. I do it with my eyes closed. No, I'm just kidding. I most definitely can't dunk.
one of the better
Hopefully one day though, I gotta get my ups up.
players in the league, but he struggles with injuries. And if he's ever able to string together a run of healthy seasons, I do think it's somewhat overlooked just how high of a ceiling he has, especially on the Hawks, because if you were to create a player in a lab to play off of Trae Young, a 6'9 forward who could handle the ball, pass, play above the rim, and offer defensive versatility would be pretty close to the result. After Johnson's emergence, Atlanta got blessed with the number one pick in the draft. And instead of drafting a project or a higher risk player with an absurd ceiling, they went for fit and selected Zachary Risachet. Risachet doesn't have a ton of juice as a shot creator or playmaker, but he's another big, athletic wing, and more importantly, he has the tools to develop into one of the league's most dynamic off-ball scorers. He's an incredible
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I was happy last year when we got the number one pick, but I didn't really know about a lot of the players in the draft. And like I said, I really didn't watch any of basketball games this year. If y'all Hawks fans or just fans in general, bro, how y'all think I don't even know how to say his last name, but how y'all think Rishaw did? Because I don't think he didn't win Rookie of the Year. I think it was Steven Castle.
shooter while having enough on-ball capability to attack closeouts or play off of screens.
But I do like the fact how we add in a whole bunch of we're adding a whole bunch of defense around Trae Young.
This is exactly what you'd be looking for.
I got the cabin for 3 days. It's gonna be sweet.
Nah, don't worry about this.
I'm 12 hours short.
Have a fun weekend.
So with Jalen turning into a number two and Risachet stepping in as another offensive weapon, their next order of business was finding a destination for DeJounte Murray.
That was such a disappointment. Like I honestly, I thought that him and Trae Young was gonna be like a little 1-2 combo, but obviously that didn't work out. I do remember watching him I went to go watch him live. He was actually kind of nice in person. DeAndre Murray.
A deal with the Pelicans, and while Larry Nance Jr. was the initial headline, it was Dyson Daniels who ended up being the centerpiece.
Ooh.
I've talked
Hey,
about
I'm not gonna lie. I'm surprised about. I think we got a steal out of him, bro. I think he was a steal. Like I'm not. I didn't know much about him, but like I feel like I'm not gonna say he got robbed, but I felt like he should have got some at least. I think he might have did. I can't remember, but he should have at least got some consideration for Defensive Player of the Year. That was definitely a steal pick. I didn't like I said I didn't see how he played at New Orleans, but I feel like that was a steal.
Agility and screen navigation to match up with pretty much any perimeter player. And he's an active helper who might just have the best hands in the NBA, which led to an average of nearly 6 deflections a game, while no other player in the last
And I
decade
think
has
he
even averaged
broke the
5.
record for like the
As a
most amount of
result,
steals
he
or
made the
something like that.
All-Defensive First
It was
Team
that or
and
he
was
had the
second in voting for Defensive
most
Player
amount of
of
steals
the
in the
Year.
game. I think it was the
Keep in
most
mind,
amount of
he's only 22
steals in a
years old.
season.
Jalen Johnson is 23, Risa Shea is 20, and Trey is 26.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. We got a young core, bro. I ain't gonna lie. We gotta go make a run. If we don't go make a run this year, man, I'm gonna be so upset. We got to. We got a whole like young team, bro. We have to like make a run this year. There's no way.
It looks like this is the core 4. The last piece to the puzzle for filling out the starting 5 was a center. They were still going with Clint Capella for the first portion of the season, and while he brings that vertical presence as both a lob threat and rim protector, he's very limited in pretty much every other area. So in late January, they went to their bench and moved Onyeka Okongwu into the starting lineup. The team didn't transform or anything, but this was right when Jalen suffered a season-ending injury, and it was clear just how much...
I ain't gonna lie. Kongu's better than Capella. I remember watching Capella in person. He was... I'm just gonna say he definitely was not it. He was missing a shit ton of layups and dunks.
more offensive flexibility.
But over the years, he's been a very good, valuable piece
because not only
on the
can he still
defensive
operate
side too.
in the
So
pick and roll
I gotta
and
give
get
him
above
credit.
the rim like Capella, he has much better touch from
I gotta
the
give him
interior
credit for
game,
that. But I do
and
think
he's a
Okongwu
decent passer,
is way
so
better
you
because he
can put
gives
the
us
ball in
way
his hands
more.
and create more off-ball
He's
action.
able to spread the
He
floor out
steps
with him. He
the
can shoot.
occasional three-point
And
shot,
obviously, you can
which
see
is
in the
actually
clip.
really interesting because with the way Quinn Snyder sets up the Hawks offense, he likes to put a big either in the slot or deep in the corner. This isn't just so they can catch and shoot, but because it puts them in a position to dive to the rim, which is something Okongwu did a whole lot of. On defense, I wouldn't say he's quite the rim protector Capella is, but he's
Nah.
still a decent vertical presence who can hold down the paint and control the glass.
Nah, he's definitely not as good a defender as Capella for sure. But he's definitely I think he has way more upside and way more offensive ability, way more upside and way more upside and way more offensive ability than Capella. I could be wrong, but like I said, his shooting and him, like his ability to spread the floor, kind of helps us out a little bit.
In many ways,
Computer died. I don't even remember what I was saying.
and Jalen in the front court. He's only 24 years old and still has quite a bit of room for growth on offense.
Nah, Okongwu for sure gonna be a good backup behind Porzingis.
For
Come on with these ads. No, I'm just playing.
Little dog rocking the same necklace as you. Then suddenly,
For the first time in 5 years, it feels like Trae Young's playing on a team that's specifically built to maximize his game. He's got a lob threat and versatile offensive 5. He's got an athletic secondary creator and above the rim threat who can push the pace at the 4. He's got a big, dynamic off-ball scorer at the 3, and he's got a nice complementary passer who got first place defensive player of the year votes at the 2. Clearly, the vision was to play Trae ball on offense, allow him to create easy shots for all of these guys, then really lean into their size.
Nah, Trae Young next season is for sure averaging 20 assists a game, bro. I mean, look at all the pieces he has around him.
Length
No
and
doubt in my
physical
mind, he's definitely
cover
gonna
for him
average
on defense.
20 assists a
But a
game.
few things were still missing. Notably, the three-point shooting lacked a good bit behind what you'd expect from a serious playoff team. Of those 5, Risa Shea was the only player shooting above 34% from 3.
See, and I don't even mean to keep pausing, but that's why we got Kennard, because I think Kennard had like a 40% 3-point shooting.
Even he was below.
I think he shot 40%
40%
from 3 points. I believe from the 3. I can't really remember, but
you need guys who are gonna pressure the defense from outside. So that was mission number 1 of the offseason. On June 24th, they traded for Kristaps Porzingis without giving up a single valuable asset, which is immediately a huge boost to the roster. He's coming off a weird season as he was constantly battling an illness, and things sort of fell apart for the Celtics near the end. So they're taking a gamble on him getting back to his peak level. And if he's able to get back to that form, he instantly becomes the best player Trae Young has ever played with. He just shot 41% from.
I'm not gonna lie, him, the picks, the pick and rolls, and the lobs is gonna be crazy. That's all I'm gonna say.
On 6 attempts a game as a 7'2" center.
Chef's
Not only would
kiss.
the pick and pop be nearly impossible to cover, I talked about how
And he
Snyder
can
likes
shoot.
to use his bigs in creative ways to
Come
space
on
the
now.
floor, and now you're giving him the ultimate chess piece. With the outside shooting, he's somebody who can attack mismatches or switches in the mid-post, which is something they've never had in the Trae era. And he's one of the best shot blockers in the league, giving them a completely different look to go to on defense. So not only do you have 48 minutes of good center play between him and Okongwu, you can actually run those two together, so we can go ahead and throw the Hawks into the list of teams that are leaning into double big units. Going back to the three-point shooting though, less than a week after trading for Kristaps, they signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Over the past
I forgot
few
about him,
seasons,
too.
he's very consistently been a 38 to 39% three-point shooter on volume, so he can bring some value as a spot-up shooter, but that's not his entire game. He's also a decent ball handler who can make decisions with a live dribble while being a capable finisher at the rim.
Yeah, I don't really know how to feel
And
about
he's
him.
another
I don't really
ferocious
know much
rim
about
attack
him, but
defender who can pick up
as you can
opposing
see out here,
players'
he can
wings and
shoot
stay
the
cold
ball.
through screens. So not only is he somebody who can play extended minutes or even start next to Trae, they could actually go to some defensively slanted lineups with him and Dyson on the floor together. And if that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's some
to see
I ain't gonna,
full court pressure
with
like we
this
saw
with this
from the
roster, with this team we got, we might. I'm not gonna go too crazy, but we might be at least like a top 10 defense, maybe top 5
Them
next
Harden
year.
and Nesmith during their finals run.
I'd at least say
If
top
adding
10.
Naw and Kristaps to the core 5 wasn't enough to sell you, on that very same day they also signed Luke Kennard. He's not going to give you the defensive prowess that either of those guys give you, but what he will do is make lots and lots of threes. Kennard is a career 44% three-point shooter, which
Dude,
ranks
he's
third
damn
in
near
NBA
shooting
history.
50%.
His value as a player
Bro,
is
be in the
really
lab, bro.
if you want an extra floor space.
Nah, that's crazy. He's damn near shooting 50%.
Offensively slanted lineup, you now have the
That's a
most
shooter right
reliable
there.
spot-up shooter the game has to offer. So there goes your top 8. Trae's the engine that makes everything run. Dyson and Alexander Walker are your backcourt partners and primary point of attack defenders. Reese Shea and Johnson are your athletic forwards and versatile chess pieces on both ends of the floor. Okongwu's your mobile, above the rim big, and Kristaps is your floor spacing, shot blocking big, while Kennard can step off the bench and immediately boost your offense with 45% three-point shooting.
Nah, you know what this team remind? Well, I'm not gonna say this team because I think this team is way more. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think this team is way more athletic than the team we had in 2015. We got Kennard as Kyle Culver. We got Trae Young as Jeff Teague. We got Jalen Johnson as Paul Millsap, but this team we putting together is it's giving me a little bit of vibes from 2015. But I like I said, I think this team is way different. They're way more athletic, and so some of these players are definitely way more athletic and way more versatile. But I like this team. This might be my favorite team.
Both ends of the floor. They can go big, they can go small, they can go to a defensive death lineup, they can go to crazy offensive looks, and it's all catered to Trae Young's skill set as an all-time on-ball playmaker. With that said, though, I do still have a few problems with the current roster construction. The obvious one is that they're relying on quite a few injury-prone players to stay healthy. I already talked about Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
They need healthy for this to work. But Dyson's another guy who's dealt with quite a few injuries in his young career. Kennard's missed some time here and there. Onyeka's had a history of minor injuries that really add up. And
That is true, bro. He's not lying about that.
Kristaps, so we could see some stretches of Atlanta having to play without either one of their bigs. To adjust, they picked up Asa Newell in the draft.
But we did pick up this dude, and I think we I can't remember if we signed another center or not.
Legit NBA big. Another problem I have with the current roster is
But
that
we
lack
will.
capable shot creators. Because
lack
Trey's
a
so good
couple
at
of.
creating open shots
I don't
for
even know.
teammates, he'll be able to
Do we even
manage
have a
this
good
issue
backup
about
point
as
guard
well
though?
as one player possibly
We do got
could.
Kobe
But against
Buffkin,
a high-level playoff
which they ain't really. I don't know if they
something
really
that could
developed
really
him
be their
properly.
downfall. Between Dyson, Alexander Walker, Kennard, and Risache, they can all make decisions off the catch, but none can really break down a defender without an advantage. The only guy outside of Trey who can really do that on the entire roster is Jalen Johnson, and even then, most of his self-creation comes downhill in early offense, so one of three things has to happen in my opinion. Firstly, one of those first four names I mentioned takes a serious offensive leap, giving them a third option. Secondly, Jalen takes another big jump as an offensive
I don't know who that. I guess that's
player,
going to
probably
be
get
Johnson.
him to an all-star or even all-NBA level. Or thirdly, they make another move.
Gearing
Come
up
on
for
with these
growth?
ads.
Don't stress. Get the money?
Using some of these young pieces they have to go out and get a legitimate creator to play off of Trey, like a Jaylen Brown or a Devin Booker. That takes me to my third and final problem with the current roster, and that's the fact that they don't really have anyone to run the offense when Trey sits. Last year,
Dang, that is a
nearly
good point.
9
He's
points
not
off the
lying.
bench, and the
Because like
arrival
that's
of
what I was saying earlier. I feel like we do need a backup point guard, but we got Kobe Buffkin, but I don't think we developed him properly, or he's not fully developed yet. But
mid-season actually seemed to fix the issue.
I guess
but
they
just
might
lost
put the
until
Walker
the
do that
Pistons
point
went
guard,
back
but
to square one.
yeah, I don't know.
Again,
That
one
is a
of
good
those
point.
guys could take a
I don't know who's
serious
gonna
offensive leap, or they've still got
replace
Vuk
Trae
Krejci,
Young when he's not in the
Kobe
game.
Buffkin, and Keaton Wallace on the roster, so one of them might have to step in and be that reliable backup point guard for 10 to 15 minutes a game. I will say I do still like quite a few of the available options on the market though, like Monte Morris, Chris Paul, or my personal favorite fit, Russell Westbrook. So while I don't think they're
Shit, hey, we
contenders
get
yet,
Russell
it's
Westbrook,
not like
man.
they're in a
It's
bad spot.
we talking about a dunk contest.
Barring health, I think this is pretty clearly a
Everybody
fair
on the team finna be doing some
Line
crazy dunks.
flexibility would be my main selling point, but also you're giving Trey a ton of off-ball weapons while building what looks like could be a top 12 defense. If any one of their young players
Top 12,
takes a
okay.
serious
I said top
step on
10, so
offense
maybe.
and they find some legitimate backup point guard minutes, now we're talking about a really tough out for every single Eastern Conference team. They'll need some
We might go and trade for a point guard. I'm trying to think who we could possibly
it's
trade
also really
for.
important to note that this isn't
Who would be a good
one-year
piece?
project. Trey's the oldest player in that core five I talked about, while the three veterans they picked up are all in the 27 to 30 age range. So 2-3 years down the line, this could have marked the starting point in building the ideal roster around Trey Young that got the Hawks back to a competitive playoff team. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out the Hoop Venue podcast.
Shout out to my boy Hoop Venue.
You can find
But not I want to get high hopes for this season, but I'm excited, man. I do want to see especially a lot of our young players. I want to see what Reese Asher can do. And then Johnson, I mean, obviously last year he got hurt and he missed. I forgot how many games he played, but you know, I didn't get to see his growth and shit. And I do want to. I can't wait to see Porzingis, man. Dude finna be snatching all the rebounds. Him and Okongwu. So I'm definitely excited for this season. Definitely excited. But it's your boy Crazy Jamont, and we got more videos coming.